Marian Apparition at Tre Fontane, Hidden Messages and Prophecies. The apparitions at Tre Fontane, Italy, occupy a most remarkable place among the approved Marian visitations of our time. The Virgin Mary, identifying herself as the Virgin of Revelation, appeared to Bruno Cornacchiola on April 12, 1947. What makes these apparitions particularly extraordinary is that exactly 10 years prior, on April 12, 1937, Our Lady had prepared the way by appearing to Luigina Sinapi, a young catechist at this very location. What follows is an examination of the hidden messages and prophecies delivered by the Virgin of Revelation at Tre Fontane, how a 1937 vision of Luigina Sinapi was a precursor to future apparitions, messages, and events. 10 years before Bruno Cornacchiola's dramatic encounter at Tre Fontane, the Blessed Virgin Mary prepared the way through another soul, Luigina Sinapi, a devout Catholic and president of the Daughters of Mary. What did the Virgin prophesy to Luigina Sinapi? On April 12, 1937, Luigina led a pilgrimage to the abbey at Tre Fontane, the historic location where St. Paul suffered martyrdom. As the group walked through the eucalyptus grove, Luigina separated from her companions for prayer. Luigina discovered in a grotto belonging to the Orsini sisters what appeared to be the remains of an aborted child. After reverently burying these remains along with a miraculous medal, something extraordinary occurred. Suddenly, amid brilliant light, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared before her. The Virgin delivered a prophecy that would prove remarkably accurate in its every detail. She told Luigina, "I will return to this place because I need the assistance of a man who persecutes the Church and wants to kill the Pope. Go to St. Peter's, and you will meet a lady dressed in black, who will take you to a brother who is a cardinal. You will transmit what I have just told you to him, and in addition, tell him that he will soon become the new Pope." The meeting with Cardinal Pacelli. Following the Virgin's instructions precisely, Luigina went directly to St. Peter's Basilica. She immediately encountered a woman dressed in black exactly as the Virgin had described. This woman was Elizabeth Pacelli, sister of Cardinal Eugenio Pacelli. Elizabeth introduced Luigina to her brother. During this providential meeting, Luigina faithfully transmitted the Virgin's message, informing Cardinal Pacelli that he would soon ascend to the papacy. The cardinal's response was cautious yet open. "If there are roses, they will bloom." A traditional Italian expression suggesting that truth would eventually reveal itself. The fulfillment came swiftly. Less than 2 years later, on March 2nd, 1939, Cardinal Pacelli was elected Pope, taking the name Pius XII. Bruno Cornacchiola's conversion and the 1947 vision. Born into a Catholic family, Bruno Cornacchiola had abandoned his faith following a troubled upbringing and difficulties in marriage. Having fought in the Spanish Civil War alongside communist forces, he returned to Rome with a virulent hatred for Catholicism. He joined the Seventh-day Adventists, a fundamentalist Protestant group, and became increasingly hostile toward the Catholic Church. Bruno's anti-Catholic sentiments reached such intensity that he purchased a dagger inscribed with the words, "Death to the Pope." His explicit plan was to assassinate Pope Pius XII during a papal audience, believing this would liberate humanity from what he considered Catholic superstition. He tormented his devoutly Catholic wife Iolanda, burning religious images in their home and physically abusing her when she attended Mass. His anti-Catholic campaign included drafting a speech to discredit the doctrine of Mary's Immaculate Conception. Bruno's notebook contained 35 pages of arguments against Marian doctrines and papal infallibility, material he planned to use in his Protestant preaching. However, on Saturday, April 12, 1947, he very date prophesied in Luigina Sinapi's vision 10 years earlier. Bruno took his 3 children, Isola, Carlo and Gianfranco, to the eucalyptus grove at Tre Fontane for a picnic. While preparing to play soccer with his children, Bruno became distracted, searching for a lost ball. His children seemed transfixed by something inside a nearby cave. Bruno called to them repeatedly, yet they remained unresponsive, as if entranced. When he entered the cave to investigate, he discovered his children kneeling in prayer, repeating, "Beautiful lady, beautiful lady." At that moment, Bruno felt an inexplicable force overtake him. His hatred dissolved as a mysterious fragrance of flowers filled the air, and his anti-Catholic notebook slipped from his hands. The Virgin's appearance and her self-identification. Within the grotto, a radiant young woman appeared, clothed in a white dress tied with a rose-colored sash. Over this, she wore a green mantle extending from her head to her bare feet, which rested upon a stone. She held scripture against her heart. The apparition identified herself with profound words. "I am she who is related to the Divine Trinity. I am the Virgin of Revelation." This title directly addressed Bruno's Protestant rejection of Catholic Marian doctrines. The Virgin specifically corrected his misunderstandings regarding her assumption into heaven, declaring, "My body could not decay and did not decay. My Son and the angels took me to heaven." Throughout the encounter, which lasted approximately 1 hour, the Virgin delivered several messages. She admonished Bruno for his persecution of the Church, saying, "You are persecuting me. Enough. Enter into the true fold, God's kingdom on earth." She also addressed his incorrect interpretations of Scripture, instructing him to seek proper guidance from Catholic authorities. Bruno's conversion was immediate and complete. The man who had planned to assassinate the Pope became a passionate defender of Catholic teachings. The dagger he had purchased for murder was subsequently given to Bishop Fulgence Piscini, who later presented it to Pope Pius XII. This remarkable conversion fulfilled the prophecy given to Luigina Sinapi in 1937, which foretold that Mary would return to Tre Fontane because she needed the assistance of a man who persecutes the Church and wants to kill the Pope. Following his conversion, Bruno dedicated his life to spreading devotion to the Virgin of Revelation. His testimony brought numerous others to conversion, while the grotto at Tre Fontane became a significant pilgrimage site, attracting thousands of faithful. What are the messages of the Virgin of Revelation? The power of the Rosary. The Blessed Virgin Mary emphasized the spiritual warfare aspect of the Most Holy Rosary with remarkable clarity, as she declared to Bruno, "Pray much and recite the Rosary for the conversion of sinners, of unbelievers, and of all Christians." The Virgin's description of this ancient prayer was particularly striking. The Hail Marys that you pray with faith and love are like golden arrows that go straight to the heart of Jesus. The 9 First Fridays. A promise fulfilled. Among the most extraordinary aspects of the Virgin's message was her confirmation of the 9 First Fridays devotion. She revealed to Bruno, "The 9 First Fridays of the Sacred Heart have saved you." Bruno had completed this devotion years earlier at his wife Iolanda's urging, before he walked down the road of lies, as the Virgin expressed it. Despite his subsequent apostasy and hatred of the Church, the promise of the Sacred Heart protected him until his moment of conversion, living the faith. More than words. The Virgin's call extended beyond specific devotions to authentic Christian discipleship. Her threefold command to Bruno was direct and comprehensive. Live the divine doctrine, practice Christianity, live the faith. The conversion of sinners at Tre Fontane. In this place of sin, I shall perform wonderful miracles for the conversion of unbelievers. With this sinful soil, I shall perform great miracles for the conversion of unbelievers and of sinners. The soil of Tre Fontane, once tainted by immoral activities, would become a source of miraculous healings and spiritual transformation. What are the prophetic warnings delivered at Tre Fontane? The Virgin of Revelation's messages to Bruno Cornacchiola contained sobering prophecies about trials that would befall the Church. These warnings, delivered with maternal concern, painted a grave picture of challenges that faithful Catholics would face in the years to come. 1. Warnings concerning the priesthood and the faith. The Virgin delivered sobering warnings about the state of the priesthood. She revealed to Bruno that many of my son's priests have lost the dignity of the order, no longer live in honesty, in love, no longer catechize souls. They have no faith and do not believe. This fourfold message called priests to deeper faith in revealed truths, greater obedience to church teaching authority, vigilant prudence with souls, and pure, dignified lifestyles. She emphasized that the return to God begins with the priest, as he is the first link between heaven and earth. The Virgin of Revelation cautioned that clergy were becoming of the world, stripping yourselves of the sacred to desecrate and abandon the priesthood. She added that they had got drunk of the world and of the false modernism. On January 1st, 1988, Bruno received another message directed at the clergy. You're trampling on my sheep and taking them toward perdition. Why are you no longer making my doctrine known? Most alarmingly, she warned that Satan will enter in the leading places of the church and would reign in all the highest command posts. This infiltration would create confusion so severe that the elect will have to dwell themselves in the doubt. 2. Persecution of the clergy and profanation of the Blessed Sacrament. Our Lady foretold severe persecution against the clergy. She revealed that priests will be trampled and killed, with the broken cross at her feet, serving as a symbol of this coming martyrdom. The Virgin granted Bruno visions of religious men and women being executed for their refusal to abandon their vows. The Virgin of Revelation warned of attacks against the Most Blessed Sacrament, declaring there would be many and enormous public and hidden sacrileges. She cautioned that numerous souls would receive Holy Communion unworthily or with insufficient reverence. The message emphasized that offenses against the Eucharist would multiply, reflecting a profound crisis of faith within the Church itself. 3. The symbolic meaning of the broken cross and cassock. At the feet of the Virgin during her apparition, Bruno observed 3 prophetic symbols: a shattered cross, a piece of black cloth, and a cassock. The Virgin explained that the cassock, thrown to the ground, represents the abandonment of the priesthood by so many priests. She declared, "This is a sign that my sons will leave their habits. You be strong in the faith." The broken cross near the cassock symbolized the martyrdom awaiting priests who would remain faithful during persecution. The black fabric represented the Church becoming a widow left to the mercy of the world. Our Lady directly told Bruno, "The Church will be persecuted, broken. These warnings at Tre Fontane echo the prophecies given at Fatima, at Akita, Japan, among several apparitions concerning persecution of the church and clergy. Both apparitions emphasize that devoted Catholics would face mounting hostility in a world increasingly hostile to religious values. For a more detailed look into the messages and prophecies at Tre Fontane, visit the link in the description at eternallycatholic.com. 4. Warnings about future times and events. Russia, desecration of the Eucharist, and more. Our Lady continued by giving warning to future times and events that will strike the Church and the world. She continues, Russia and atheism and the desecration of the Eucharist. Hard times are prepared for you, and before Russia converts and leaves the way of atheism, a tremendous and severe persecution will arise. Pray it can be stopped. The time is now passing to the end of all things of the world. The word of the one who made everything is true. Prepare your hearts, draw closer with more fervor to the living sacrament among you, the Eucharist, which one day will be desecrated and no longer believed to be the real presence of my Son. Draw near to the heart of Jesus, my Son. Consecrate yourselves to the heart of a mother which bleeds, always in a mystical sense, continually for you. Give praise to God who is among you. Be in the world, but not of the world. Distance yourself from the false things of the world, vain shows, obscene pictures, superstitions of every kind. Falsehood and other evils, vanity and spiritism, are things that the evil one will use for the persecution of God's creature. Satan is loosed for a period of time for the sanctification of the saints. Children, be strong, resist the infernal assault, do not be afraid. I will be with you with my motherly heart to give courage to yours and soothe your sorrows. The entire church will undergo a terrible test to clean up the carnage that is infiltrated among its ministers, especially among the orders of poverty. For the time indicated in the heavenly books, the forces of evil will endanger priests and faithful by assaulting them with whatever means they can, especially false ideologies and theologies. Our Lady stated, "With Christ as leader, I will fight for you. Blasphemy, sins of the flesh, obscenity, hunger, illness, death, astonishing work by science. The weapons that will make you strong and victorious are faith, fortitude, love, uprightness, constancy in good things, the gospel, meekness, truth, purity, honesty, patience, bearing everything far from the world and its poisonous attendants. Ask to be saints and do good and to sanctify yourselves. Distance yourself from the world while living in the world. Humanity is lost because it no longer has anyone who lead it sincerely in justice. There are terrible times for all. Faith and charity will remain intact if you are attentive to what I tell you. These are moments of trial for all of you." Our Lady continued, "There will be days of sorrow and mourning. From the east, a strong people, but far away from God, will unleash a tremendous attack, will break the most holy and sacred things when it will be allowed them to do so. You will have love and faith, all to make the saints shine like the stars in heaven. What was, has been, and ever will be the purpose of Christ's death, to appease the wrath of paternal justice and to sprinkle his creatures with his pure and precious blood in order to fill them with love until they love one another. The world will enter another war more ruthless than the previous ones. Satan's wrath is no longer held back. Children, become holy and sanctify yourselves. The darkening of conscience and evil that will increase will testify to you of the coming of the final catastrophe. Satanic freedom, which will be allowed, will bring massacres everywhere. Unite yourselves in the love of God. Make one rule the living gospel. The sheepfold of Christ is and will be the salvation of all who want to be saved. You will see men driven by Satan make a united league to fight every form of religion. The most stricken will be the Church of Christ to cleanse it of the filth that is in it. At the end, many will be converted through the many prayers and through the return to love of all, and through powerful divine manifestations. Permission will be given for a time to those who destroy everything and everyone. Then the Lamb will show his eternal victory. He will destroy evil with good, the flesh with the spirit, hatred with love. The holiness of the Father, reigning as sovereign of divine love, will suffer greatly for a while, from something briefly which under his reign will happen. A few others will still reign on the throne. The last one, a saint, will love his enemies, showing it, creating unity and love. He will see the victory of the Lamb. There are additional messages that Bruno encountered with heaven. Apart from the first message on April 12, 1947, Bruno received over 60 messages and premonitions. For more details, visit eternallycatholic.com and go to the article on Tre Fontane. The link is in the description. Solar Miracles continue the link with the message and events at Fatima in 1917. What occurred on April 12, 1980, the 33rd anniversary of Our Lady's first appearance, can only be described as a manifestation of divine power. Approximately 3,000 faithful had gathered at Tre Fontane to commemorate the Virgin of Revelation. As the holy sacrifice of the Mass was being celebrated, the sun began to turn backwards in the heavens and then began to draw near the earth. The assembled crowd could gaze directly upon the solar disk without harm, witnessing brilliant colors radiating from its corona. The sacred symbols that appeared within the sun itself speak to the divine authorship of these events. A cross, the letter M, a heart surrounded with stars or dripping blood, the monogram IHS, hands joined in prayer, and the Holy Family. This extraordinary display continued for approximately 30 minutes. The Holy Mass was temporarily suspended as the overwhelmed congregation witnessed this heavenly sign. Most significantly, many lapsed Catholics who had not received the sacraments for years experienced conversion and returned to the practice of their faith. The Almighty, in his infinite wisdom, repeated this solar miracle on the same anniversary date in 1982, 1985, 1986, 1987, 1988, and 1989. Praise be to Jesus Christ through Mary, the Virgin of Revelation.